Hi, I'm Dave Gardy for Cybersecurity TV from our studios here near Washington, D.C. for this special presentation, another in the series on compliance automation with SteelCloud. Joining me right now is the COO of SteelCloud, Mr. Brian Hajost. Brian, good to see you.
Good afternoon.
And from North Carolina, we have Maria Horton, who is a cloud security expert and a former FedRAMP 3PAO. Thanks for joining us, Maria.
Thank you.
So I'm going to ask to start with you, Maria. The cloud means different things to different people. How do you describe it?
So when I look at cloud, I really see cloud as a force multiplier for many companies and agencies. I see it as the ability to tap into new innovations and capabilities. And I think that we're really still in the up ramp related to how effective cloud will be as we go forward.
Okay, and have you seen or heard this from your SteelCloud customers, Brian?
We sure have. A lot of organizations are looking to move to the cloud for a number of different reasons. Although there's lots of advantages in the commercial cloud, I would say the primary reasons people are moving are, one, to save money, two, to address if they have elastic compute requirements, three is modernization. The cloud allows you to do that fairly effectively. The fourth is information sharing. They need to bring information out of their on-premise environments and make that information available to other parties. I think from a CMMC or a federal contractor standpoint, I think the cloud offers some other capabilities around security and isolating the environment in which they have to secure assets and information.
Okay, well, let's drill down each of those primary motivations, and we'll start with Maria. Saving money, Maria, what are your thoughts on that?
I think that transitioning to a cloud has a ton of money-saving capabilities. If you look at the cost of labor once you make the transition, if you look at the technology itself, if we go back in time and we look how folks have had to pay for the total cost of ownership with on-premise capabilities, specific applications. That kind of is now a plug-and-play event in the cloud where you can benefit from using new technologies or discontinuing using a technology very quickly. That's where I think some of the best savings may be. And I'm sure SteelCloud can speak to examples in that. I know I have seen those kinds of migration examples that my customers have wanted to do in the cloud.
Brian, saving money?
Yeah, I think a lot of the money savings comes from right-sizing the computing environment. When you're on premise, you have to source hardware and software based on the maximum capability you need. In the cloud, you can create smaller micro clouds or private clouds at exactly the right size and capabilities that you need for the application, so you're not overpaying.
Okay, let's address the elastic compute requirements. Maria, what are your thoughts on that?
I think Brian's comment on saving money by specifying the size of the cloud is one aspect. The other is, imagine that you are growing as a business and you need to upsize quickly. The compute capability in a cloud environment is quickly addressed. You can purchase it, you can remove it. I like both aspects of that because many times I've seen previously, I had a government Navy career. I was a CIO. Once you purchase something, you want to get the best use out of it. But the compute capability of cloud allows you to expand and contract as you see fit, helping your budgets, helping your people get things right in the right size at the right time.
How about you, Brian, on elastic compute requirements?
I would agree, and the cloud provides some unique capabilities in this area. You know, it may be an environment where you need a tremendous amount of computer power for 3 months out of the year, or maybe 3 hours a day. Well, in a commercial cloud environment, you can ramp up your compute power and shut it down as you need it, saving money. So it allows you to have all the computing power that you need when you need it, without paying extra for having it sit idle in the hours or the months where you don't need it.
Okay, let's address modernization. What's your perspective on that, Maria?
I I love the cloud environment. I think from a modernization perspective, I kind of hit on this in my original definition with you, Dave. I think it gives us the ability to tap into innovations, new applications. It gives us a chance to get even new security controls. As a cybersecurity expert, when I look at what's coming out, tools and capabilities, I look at that entire context as being modernization. It lets us move very quickly into new things. Brian, your thoughts?
Well, I think, some folks think that modernization is the only reason to move to the cloud. We've given 4, but it's certainly a very powerful reason. So if you have an application set that needs upgraded, you want to move to containers, you want to move to a more agile development environment, the cloud is a tremendous platform for connecting development to authorization and operation. And so, it is any organizations that's looking at a modernization effort, the cloud provides a perfect vehicle to get there.
Let's talk about information sharing with respect to cloud migration, Maria. What are your thoughts on that?
When I look at information sharing, one of the beauties of cloud is that not only from the size and compute capability, but think about geofencing, location, international status. There's a lot of ways to look at the accessibility and the capability of information sharing. There also is the ability within cloud to allow us to protect different classifications of information, maybe a more secure enclave of information, a separate cloud capability so that if there is some truly sensitive, protected data, I have the ability to set it up, manage it, and operate it in that specific environment.
Information sharing, Brian?
Well, I think this is a particular interest of the federal government. Most on-premise compute environments were never meant for information sharing. They were meant to serve a mission that they were built for. So if you look at the cloud as a vehicle for pulling out the information and applications that need to be shared across mission partners, a cloud is a great place to build that environment that most on-premise environments were never designed for.
Finally, let's address security and CMMC. What's your perspective on that, Maria?
So from the security portions, we've hit on all of the different pluses in kind of a singular fashion, but if you take them all together, you have the ability in cloud to ramp up and down. You can halt access to a particular cloud location or file. You also have the ability to increase security controls that may not be in your bailiwick. I've worked with a lot of small and medium-sized businesses who don't necessarily have the same security expertise as larger international companies. By going to a cloud environment, you actually have the ability to enhance security from a capability in the cloud. And it gives you the leverages of sharing or not sharing information and staying up to date with the latest security applications.
Security and CMMC, Brian, your thoughts?
Well, I think government contractors have a different issue than federal governments. The federal governments, all their networks are fairly secure, at least in a level of 853, whereas commercial organizations probably are not. So CMMC and NIST 800-171 requires the CUI information or the information that's confidential to be segregated and further protected. So instead of going into an on-premise environment at a contractor and trying to segment it physically within that environment, it's easy for the contractor to move the information that comes under CMMC to a cloud environment that they can manage separately and easily build in the kinds of controls necessary that they can pass their, say, CMMC level 2 or level 3 requirements.
Okay, so if the cloud is so obviously good, why are people hesitating to migrate?
It's always a big challenge to change not only culture, but also operational capabilities. I think when we look at, and I'll touch a little bit more on CMMC, when we look at how we've done business and then have to change to protect information with different classifications or categories, this requires a change in the way we do business. It also means giving up some controls. When we look at agencies and organizations that have had hands-on their information, sending it out into the cloud in which they don't necessarily understand how they're going to get that information back, what the ownership is of that information. They know they own it, but they don't know where it is, can be kind of an awesome first and second step towards our new modernization era.
Brian?
Well, I will agree and disagree a little bit. I think it's more of a perception than reality. I mean, I really think in a software-driven environment like a cloud, you have much more control, especially at the middle and senior level managers positions. But I think the other thing is it is a conversion, right? And conversions cost money. The move of an application stack from one environment to another costs money, and that's why, you know, we listed the kind of 4 main reasons. Those have to be fairly big reasons with, you know, sizable value for someone to take an environment that is working and move it, because there will be some startup costs to move that application to the cloud. I think the other thing from a compliance standpoint, there will be more compliance required in going to the cloud, because when you're on premise, you know, there's lots of applications that have paid for the sensors, the cameras, the locks and the doors, a lot of the controls that exist. And when you go in the cloud, you have easily all the capabilities to get you to the level of security, but you have to get authorized for the cloud formation that you've built and the controls that you've built in. So there's a little bit of a heavier compliance lift to get a application authorized in the cloud than it would be in the existing data center, existing on-premise environment.
Any final recommendations, Brian?
Well, I would say the cloud, as we've discussed today, it provides tremendous amount of capabilities. And so I think users should use you know, more modern thinking. You know, the legacy processes they have, the legacy applications, the way they harden, the way they secure systems, the way they do compliance on premise, they shouldn't just forklift that in the cloud. It gives them an opportunity to build automation, new techniques, less human-intensive activities. And so I think the cloud gives an organization the ability to both right-size and correctly implement, you know, automation that the cloud provides. So I think a modern thinking is in order when they go, and not just forklift some of the legacy activities they had, such as compliance.
Maria, your final thoughts?
I love what Brian is saying for a couple different reasons. Number one, when we look at many of the new compliance regulations from CMMC to FedRAMP, the cloud environment provides the requirement for automated security controls, but that automated security comes along with other automated processes. And that really is the modernization that we're looking for. Humans can't necessarily compete to forklift, I'll use Brian's word, into the cloud. We need to look at ways to automate all of the processes, but then govern and monitor what's going on from that perspective. I think those things are very important to be able to get everything out of the cloud that you want, but also out of your business or organization, what your mission is, because those things are really what power you to go to the next level.
Excellent. Well, we appreciate the time you've both taken here on this another in a series of programs on cloud, compliance automation with SteelCloud. We've been talking to Maria Horton, who's cloud security expert and a former FedRAMP 3 PAO, and Brian Hajost, who's COO of SteelCloud. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. I'm Dave Gardy for Cybersecurity TV from our studios here near Washington, D.C. Thanks for watching.